Hey everybody, welcome to Root Awakening TV Season 3. We are so happy to be back. We've got our upgraded tech, we've got our new stream built by Lizzie from Speakeasy TV. It's just so much fun to be back with new tech, upgrade like that. The PC was built by her partner John, and so we have a lot more potential with our new stream, with our new upgrade PC. We are happy about that. Now, Alice in Chains, a regular on our channel, who's not here today, lent me a teleprompter, and I was all prepared to use it. And then I started using it, and I thought, no, that's not going to fly. I cannot use that teleprompter. So I have a little bit of some notes here. I'm going to be going back to that. I think this feels more natural for me. I hope you agree. Today we are going to be doing some canning. So we've got new looks, new recipes, new tips, and we are going to help you. Look at this. I love the side cam. This is Amara all over. We are going to be giving you some ideas, new upgraded ideas on how to nurture yourself and nurture the people that you cook for.
Mark.
Yay, Mark's here. Last season we cooked places around the world. We celebrated festivals. This year we're going to be taking a vintage approach. Hi, Mr. Mark. We're going to be taking a vintage approach to our recipes and to the way that we cook. We're going to be going as far back as the 1700s to the trends of 2022. So stay with us if you think, oh, I don't know if that sounds so great. It really is kind of an interesting theme. It's a theme I had to choose because if you're new here, and I don't think there is anyone new here, my name is Connie Powers, and I'm a culinary arts student, and I'm a creator, a digital creator, and I create around food. And I was told by my professor to choose a theme. My theme this year is going to be some vintage cooking, and you'll see we're going to move pretty fast, and it's not all going to be about the historical thing, but some of it's going to be. So I am making some notes. I'm going to be going back and forth to some of these things. So think about food memories, how powerful they are. You may find yourself transported to a country you visited. You may be transported back to a book you read, a movie you watched, to some place you were invited to. You may find yourself in Grandma's kitchen. Those memories of food is what we're going to be focusing on, and how they evoke good memories. But you know, food doesn't always evoke good memories. Sometimes they have started wars. Food has started wars. It has been used as warfare to withhold food supply from enemies. It has started revolutions. It has transported cultures. It's even made a difference between the way socioeconomics, inequality and equality. So the food is a really powerful source to how society works. So that is what we're going to be doing this season. We're going to be just going through food from the days of 1700s when things were invented, things were created. And Alberta Premium's here, welcome. We're going to be doing some really good, looking back at the summer. There's some great photos for you to see. First of all, we always start off with our drink o'clock, and today we're going to be beckoning back to a fall drink. We're going to be making a drink made with apple cider. I had to look and see what it was. What's that?
Look what Lucius wrote.
You left your kitchen this filthy for your first show. Hey, it's not, this is what the kitchen looks like when I am about to do a stream. As of a Saturday night when I prep the stream, the kitchen's a disaster, and then like 1 hour after the stream, it's beautiful again. So we are going to make an apple cider drink, and it's going to be with a little bit of spiced rum, and it was supposed to have a cinnamon schnapps. I couldn't find that anywhere. I don't know if you even know that it exists. But I had to buy a cinnamon whiskey. I bought a small one because all of a sudden this drink changed. So we are going to be adding some apple cider. Hopefully that's a couple. I don't think I'm going to be doing the whole alcohol thing. We're going to be doing some Kraken spiced rum, a couple ounces. That sounds like a lot more. And then the cinnamon whiskey. Now, I smelled it, if you've ever had this. The drink, rum and whiskey, you're going to be throwing fists around. I know, this is way too much for me, but let's try it. Whoa, just a little, you know, it's noon. I do want to ask, the noon thing, the 11 o'clock thing, for the people who are regs here, what do you think? What do you think about the noon? Mr. Mark today on a live Instagram said, you know, maybe the 11 o'clock thing's better. No, we're not getting lit. We're just gonna try this. Now I think I'm gonna add some apple cider to mine because let's see first if it needs a little bit. No measurements, oh yeah. Oh, well, I'm smelling the apple cider. Let me try this. You know, that's a lot. I didn't expect. I mean, whiskey is 33% alcohol and schnapps is 20. Oh, it's delicious. Okay, I'm still gonna add some apple cider though. All right, let's put a little bit of a garnish on that. This is drink o'clock, that doesn't change. So I'm just gonna slice a little bit, sorry you can't see that. We're gonna slice a little bit of an apple, and look at that, a nice fall drink. A little bit of spiced rum, a little bit of cinnamon. I could have made a simple syrup. We love drink o'clock. Thomas loves drink o'clock. I could have made a simple syrup with a cinnamon stick and made a nice cinnamon syrup. That would have worked too if you wanted to cut some of the alcohol, but hey. It doesn't taste much alcohol. I love the apple cider. Let's remove this, not spilling it across. We do have a lot of fun things to do today. Of course, I'm going over my notes. Get over it because I'm not missing some stuff. Now, like no one else should know this secret. Yeah, I saw it is. It's like, this is delicious. All right. You know, let's think about where we're going to start. So I think we're going to start 1795. We're looking back to a time when Napoleon Bonaparte had these troops that were being malnourished, and he knew that you had to feed the troops in order to win the war. So he put out a challenge, and the challenge was to process food in a glass jar. He just had too many men dying in his warfare of killing people. He had too many people dying from eating botulism. Fancy that. Napoleon, like from, not that Napoleon, no, not Napoleon Dynamite, but this is bone apart. So he put out this challenge, and it was 12,000 franc challenge, and somebody by the name of Nicholas Appert accepted that challenge. It took him 15 years to figure out how to put things in a jar. And he put things in a wine bottle, that shape. Well, right there you've got a problem, because when you do that, you've got this, the air can't escape. The air is staying inside. If you've got a jar shaped like this, air can escape. So it was trying to funnel up into this wine bottle, and it was staying in. They were applying heat, but botulism was staying in. Sometimes the jars exploded, sometimes people died. It wasn't working. It took a long time for Louis Pasteur to say, listen, there's microorganisms in there, and let's use a hotter heat process and a more open jar to stop that from happening. So this happened, and I have a short video that explains it so much better, and just watch this, you'll see what I was talking about.
Have you ever eaten fruits, vegetables, or meat from a tin can? It wasn't until the late 18th century that the process we now know as canning was developed. State. In 1795, Napoleon Bonaparte was set on his quest. As French troops invaded neighboring countries, the government realized the ability to carry food for an extended time was the key to the health of their soldiers, and thus the key to their military success. Their cured meat provisions weren't cutting it. The government offered a prize of 12,000 francs to the creator of a new, practical means of transporting and storing food. Enter Nicolas Appert, a French chef and grocer who believed that older preservation techniques like curing and pickling spoiled the taste and healthfulness of food. He set out to devise a better process and win the government's contest, and came up with a technique that changed the diet of people worldwide. Through trial and error, he determined a successful method for prolonging the shelf life of food. Appert used glass jars for his storage process, but he created the process that we now know today as canning. He filled glass bottles with prepared food such as soups, vegetables, juices, dairy products, jellies, jams, and syrups, making sure to leave room at the top of the jar for expansion. He then firmly sealed the jars with cork and wax and placed them into a bath of boiling water. Appert based his preservation process on heating foods to temperatures in excess of 100 degrees Celsius, doing so by using an early version of an autoclave, a device that uses steam, high temperature, and extreme pressure to sterilize. Though somewhat unsure of the scientific principle behind his preservation technique, Appert hypothesized that heat destroys, or at least neutralizes, the fermentation that changes the quality of animal and vegetable substances. Half a century later, Louis Pasteur credited Appert with being the first to understand the basic principle of pasteurization, heating foods to deactivate microorganisms in food that contribute to spoilage. Canning forever shifted the diet of people across the globe for the better, allowing a wide group of people access to nutrient-rich foods no matter what was in season. The Appert method was so simple and workable that people around the world began adopting his canning and preserving method at home. Still today, people's diets around the world are improved through both the at-home and commercial use of Appert's canning technique.
All right, so 1858, a man by the name of John Mason created the mason jar. I don't have a mason jar. Yes, I do. This is a mason jar, so you'll see it says mason on it. Jars are jars, almost. Mason created a jar that had a glass lid, and the glass lid looks like this, and it had a rubber ring. These were used until 1964.
This is here.
Yeah. I have this jar. I use it in my pantry. I do not can with it. So I put this back, and I'm going to put the ring on it. You see, like, did this work? Sure, it worked. My grandmother used these. My mother used these until 1964. And then after John Mason, we continue on with William Ball. And you may have seen this. Wait, I'm supposed to have a book out for you. In fact, this is a vintage book. And this book, the Ball Blue Book, oh God, why did I just think of that now? Ball Blue Book is, yeah, is a book that was published in 1960s, and hi Allison, yeah, I just thought of it, and it's because of my audience. This book was published in the 1960s, and it was written by the Ball company because they wanted you to think that you needed to use their jars. This is filled with really good recipes that just are the foundation of canning. So we got rid of this jar, and then after John Ball was Nicholas Kerr, and Nicholas Kerr had a very, very big impact because he's the one who created this little device, the two-piece canning, a ring and a lid. The lid has the rubber on it that just can be used. These are supposed to be disposable. Some people use them more than once. So the tin can process, it's still being used. You buy tin cans all the time. It's really a commercial thing. We don't do that in the home. And this remains the choice for canning. But this two-piece lid is really what started a more reliable canning process for us. What am I doing? So what we're trying to do with this, what do? We have an empty jar. No tin cans. And another thing too is it took 48 years for this can opener to be invented after the tin can in 1812. So they were opening them with knives and bayonets. They were introducing bacteria. It just wasn't working. Now we have can openers. Still prefer prefer glass jars. I still prefer glass. So we have this jar. What do we do with it? We fill it with a food, we fill it with a liquid, and then we heat process it. The heat process then pushes the air up, the air escapes, and when it cools, it sucks it back down and it seals. Why do I have this upside down? Because I do this, I need front camera now. I do this white because that means it hasn't been used, and I store my jars that way. All right. I want to go over a few tools that you need. We're going to do some canning today, and I'm going to show you that you can do, we used to have hundreds of those mason jars filled with tomato sauce. Yeah, come into my basement, Mark, it'll bring you back there. I've got about 50 jars of tomatoes.
This is candy powers.
You know, I love to can because I think I was, originally I may have been a squirrel because I love to squirrel away food. So let's look at a few tools that you're going to need for canning. And we're going to talk about how you can manufacture some of these. You need a funnel for safety and for security. I use a metal funnel because I'm just grossed out by plastic. Use whatever you have. You can see this is a pretty wide open one so that I can put bulk food through. You need a jar lifter. These are cheap. You can use tongs that you have. You may hurt yourself. You can use an oven mitt, and you can dip into your hot water and pull your jar out when it's fully processed. But remember, when you do that, water conducts heat. So when your mitt is wet, it's just going to be hotter. And you can use one of these. Allison likes this tool. It has a little bit of a measuring thing on the top, and it also has a magnet, and the magnet is for, if I've got this in hot water, I can lift it and pull it out. This isn't an absolute necessity, but I would say that if you're going to do a little bit of canning, even 1 or 2 jars for yourself, the jar lifter is a hand saver. And of course you need jars and you need some lids, all very cheap to purchase. They are a little bit more expensive this year because of inflation, but you can use, it's a one-time investment. You can use it over and over. Now some of you may be tempted to take a one-time jar. So this is Dijon mustard that I've purchased, and you, oh, Mass Bartender, welcome. So terrified of using canning tongs and always ask me to do it for him. These are foolproof, and I really, really enjoy using these because I feel secure. I don't feel like it's going to drop back in the water and splash me back. You have to be so careful with all of this. That jar lifter is a game changer. So you can use one of these first time, or one-time use I should call it. You can see that the lid, you know, go into your fridge, pull something out and look. There's a little bit of a rubber gasket in there, but it's not meant to reuse. And many of the manufacturers of one-time jars will also make it that the lids won't fit. A wide mouth, a regular mouth is not going to fit. They don't want to be liable for you using this jar. It's not the same tempered glass as what you buy for a canning jar. So, you know, I have used these. I've reused them, especially if stuff's going to Liz, because I know I'm not getting that jar back. So, you know, you invest in your jars and you'll have them for over and over use. All right, I am going to show you, there's 2 different types of canning. Today we're going to do 2, one live and one on a video. There's 2 types of canning. One is with a brine, and if you have an acid, so you can use vinegar, you can use a lemon juice, and you can use, for that I'm going to keep returning them. You can use a vinegar brine, a lemon juice, or a citric acid. If you add acid to your food, like let's look at this jar of tomatoes. If you add acid to the food, so I added citric acid and lemon juice, then you can process in the water bath canner. And a water bath canner is simply a kettle that has boiling water in it and a rack inside, and I've had this boiling because we're going to be doing something, and that's all you have to do is put it into water bath. But what if you don't want to add an acid to your ingredient? You want to do beans, and the beans you want these to be a winter vegetable like you would open up in Allison's trusted tin cans. You then have to put it into a pressure canner, and that's a different animal. You go into a pressure canner, this cooks in a pressure canner at 240 degrees Fahrenheit, whereas the water bath is 180. Sports slang.
Yips. Got the yips.
Oh, and the water bath is 180, the pressure canner is 240. It's a different animal. So you've got boiling hot temperature, and there's a steam valve, and you let the steam release from it, and then when it's done cooking, you have to bring down the temperature before you lift the lid, or you're going to have all this steam hit you in the face. It is probably not where you want to start canning, but this is a simple process. So I want to show you some different size jars. These are jars that you can easily find in a hardware store, in a Walmart, those kind of things. So what we've got here is a 1/4 pint, and you can see here that, I think I'm going to read this chat. I took a second mortgage for that reference. This is a 1/4 pint. Very small. I've got candied jalapenos in here. I love these little jars for things that you're not going to use a large amount of. This is a 1/2 pint, and it's usually used for jams and jellies. This is a crabapple jelly. And then this is just a really nice, this is a ball jar. It's a vintage jar, and I just absolutely love these. Yeah, that's where I'm at. I love jars. This is a 1/2 pint, but you can't see it's squatty, and it just stacks well. It looks pretty. This is crabapple jelly as well. You can see how it, look at the beauty of that. And then there is a pint jar. This is great for veggies. What?
Liz can't get past balls.
Balls made the jars, and the book is called Blue Balls. And this is a quart. Notice that we just keep using imperial. I don't ever, when you go to buy these, you're not going to see them in metric. This is a quart jar. This is also a quart jar with no shoulders. And yes, those are called shoulders. This is called a wide mouth. This is called a regular mouth. I like this for bulky things like peaches and pears. But today we're going to be creating some dill pickles. Now, what is the first thing I want to do? I want to sterilize this jar. I am going to just drop it right into my boiling water bath canner. So, put that in. Stay clear of it. I'm going to clear up some of these jars of food. We don't need those anymore. Put that back in my pantry. So glad to see some of our, what if the jar ones, that's heating up now. Okay, yeah, it's like an autoclave, really, is what I'm doing with that. So this I should be warming up, but we're good. So I'm going to remove that now. It was sterilized before. I'm going to use my lifter. This is a little bit more dangerous because I have to tip it. I don't want to use that. I'm going to hurt myself on stream. Okay, I'm just going to use a silicone-edged tongue because it's empty, so it works better. Yeah, this is what you do. Pour it without pouring it on yourself. Okay, I have got a sterilized jar. I'm going to cover that back up. Now, while I'm doing that, I'm going to make a brine. Remember, you have to add an acid, and we all love dill pickles. I know the Speakeasy crew loves dill pickles. And if you eat them right away, they're not as good. So let's think about the brine. What do you want in your brine? You can just do it plain up, vinegar and water. 1 cup of vinegar and 1 cup of water. It's not really difficult. And then I'm going to put in some dill. Actually, let's put the dill right into the jar. That's an easier way to do this. We're going to put that right into the jar. I'm going to put in 1 tablespoon of pickling salt. Do not use table salt. This is pickling salt. You can see, maybe on the overhead, you can see that it is a coarse salt. And it is called pickling salt. So you'll see it. You can buy it in a small amount. You can go to Bulk Barn, and you can get a small amount if you're doing these 1 to 2 jars. I think the fear is that, you know, you knew of canners in your days, and, you know, maybe your mom, your grandmother, your aunt, somebody, the neighbor, and they were doing 75 to 100 jars of something, and we all believed that if you're getting into the mess, you need to do that. So you don't need to do that. Today I'm going to show you 1 jar of pickles, and then you can have these in your cupboard, and in a couple months they're good. This is something different I do. I put sugar in mine. I need sugar. I'm not that sweet. So I put a couple teaspoons of sugar into my brine. And then we put in a little bit of pickling spice. Again, preference. This is just mustard seed, basil. I buy it already prepared so that I don't have to. I put that in there, not much, maybe 1/4 teaspoon of it. I have this year after year. And then we get this cooking. We get that cooking. What is this? What is this? Oh, that's what I had my dill in. But I forgot something in my brine. Now we're going to start filling the jars. So first thing I do is I'm going to put in some garlic, and I think the Speakeasy crew does. You beat me to it. I'm missing.
Malibu Barbie.
Oh, you know what? I never can keep my chat going on my phone. I can only watch it here. Copo, do you know that someone just named the baby Malibu Barbie?
Allison.
No.
Baby.
That's crazy. Well, you know, I don't care what people do. So, a hunk of garlic, large clove, just drop it right in there. You're probably not going to eat it. You're probably just going to enjoy the flavor of it. And then we start filling it with the dill pickles. Now, you can do spears, Brittany. You can do chips. I prefer the chips.
Eric Estrada.
So let's watch and see how we're going to fill this. Oh, another thing you can put in is chili flakes. I think I sent a jar. I cut it in half. Watch this. Might want the overhead. I put it in a jar. I slice it down the middle, and then I make quite thick chips. Like if you wanted to make these thin enough that they're good for hamburgers, but I just fill it like that. I cut it down the middle. These were washed. And then I make kind of thick chips. But what I find is if you make them thin, really thin slices, they go sort of mushy in the water bath and over the year if you don't eat them in the 1 year. So maybe you don't want to do that. I do cut off the ends because they're not very appetizing. What you just noticed is that's my new technique of not filling every moment with sound. So my professor is not here today. He said he's going to give me a few streams before he logs on. You know, and that word "so," I really need to get rid of it. I am just creating a way to be this year. I need a whole head of garlic if no one stopped me. Well, then you are not a vampire. So I pack it down pretty good. You're going to see, I'm trying to get this, the brine starting. It doesn't take long. So today, you have the opportunity to make this brine simple. I bet you've got the ingredients in your house, maybe not the pickling spices, but you might have bay leaves and you might have those kind of things that you can add. Some people even like to add a little bit of cloves to it. Not my thing. But the red hot chili peppers, not the band, but the spice, you can, I don't know why I had to make sure that you knew they're red hot. They're just chili flakes. You can put peppers in here. You can put onions in here. Some people like dilled onions. I pack it pretty tight, but if you wanted to do the spears, that's nice too. You can do a whole pickle. If I'm doing the whole thing, they're smaller than this, and I pierce a few holes into it. because, I want a smaller one. You want some flavor. I do like this look though. I might not get another whole.
Using that little absolutely crunch them out of here.
Okay, that might be all I wanted to put in. I'm going to pack it down. I'm also going to take my little jar lifter or lid lifter, and I'm going to make sure that there's no air in there. All right, Crunch-O-Matic wants the leftovers. He'll eat anything. I'm surprised he's not eating these little tips. Okay, let's look and see. Do we have, yeah, we have a boiling broth. Simple. What do I do next? I'll skip the head of garlic and just go for a, oh God. Mark, I'm trying to run a respectable channel here. All right, I've got my brine, I've got my funnel. How come that sounded like I've got pan, I've got pineapple. All right, I'm going to now release any air bubbles. Release the bubbles. I may have packed this pretty tight. You see that the dill is at the bottom. Nice. Could have put a couple pearl onions in this, but I didn't. So make sure that the pickles at the top are covered. Push that down. I've got a little bit of brine. That recipe I gave you would actually have made 2 smaller jars. Okay, I've got my lid. I make sure there's nothing compromising the seal, not that one. And I place the lid on. Little quiz, who created this 2-piece? And I'm going to put this into my water bath. It has to process in this water bath. I'm going to use the lifter. It has to process in the water bath for 10 minutes at a full boil. Now, it does seem a little bit eccentric to put in 1 jar. I would never do that. It seems a little bit of a waste, but I'm doing it to show you today. All right, I am going to take you and show you a process now of where I made beans in a canning, in a process water, what am I doing? In a pressure canner. So watch the video of me doing beans. Hi everybody, today we are doing waxed beans canned. This is no pickle, no vinegar, this is just a vegetable for a winter dinner. So you can see I've done some quarts and I'm doing some pine. Sterilize the jars. You pack the cut beans, nice cleaned, chopped into bite-sized pieces. You cut those and then you fill the jars. Plain and simple, you fill the jars. In a quart, I am going to put in, this is pickling salt. You can see it's a little bit coarser. It's not fine salt. So I put a teaspoon into each quart jar, and you put half a teaspoon into each pint. That's all. And then I'm going to top that with boiling water. I seal it. Let me fill these jars and I'll come back and show you. All right, I'm filling the jars with, this is, I didn't say how many we did. This is a 1/4 bushel, if that makes sense to you. And you can see how many I got. So in each jar, I would put a half a teaspoon of the pickling salt. You can use kosher salt too, but I prefer pickling salt. So half a teaspoon went in the pints, 1 teaspoon went in the quarts. And now all I do is I top these off with boiled water. It's just water, it's not a pickle. And then these will go into a pressure canner. The only way that you can preserve without vinegar is in a pressure canner. Don't think I'm going to have enough boiling water, so I'll just put a little bit more on. Okay. So I will seal these and they go in the pressure canner. Yeah, that's a lot of beans, but you know, you take it out. You don't even have to put it into a pot. You can put it right into the microwave and with the lid off, of course, and you can heat them for your dinner just like that. It's really good. Now, this summer, the Speakeasy crew came here for a little bit of a get-together. They called it the Rude Raid. It was a riot. We had some fun. We saw snakes. We did a lot of things, and at the end of the day, it ended up in my kitchen. And people started going through my cupboards and looking through the Rude Awakening kitchen and finding things and saying, "What's this?" So, allegedly saw snakes. No, there was really a snake. We started to play this game, and it's all of a sudden it dawned on me, let's play the game on the stream. So today we're going to play effect of these tools, and I never use these tools, can I just tell you that, but yet I have two of them. So Craft Center, welcome here, and you weren't at the party, so maybe you will be the one that gets this. I want you to notice on the overhead that there's graduated slots in it. I was going to say holes, I just know this crowd. So I want you to look at that. There's even a nice little grip on it right here. And then there's this divot at the top. If you know what this is because you were here, don't say it. And then I've got another one. This one was gifted to me as well. And you can see that here are the same holes. And then there's a little catch basin.
Oh, the catch basin.
Is it to test the strength? No holes allowed. Little catch basin to catch what I am getting from those little holes. Anyway, there's two of them in my cupboard. Neither one of them do I use because I have found other ways to get what I need from this tool's result. But I can't give them away because somebody gifted them to me, and so I keep that thing. What is it? What is it? Anybody? Any hole opener? No! Close though. I know because I gave you that.
No.
Yeah, you did. You gave me the green one, I think. Or you may have given me. They're great to use if you only need a little. Because I use such large amounts of this, they tend to slow you down. What is the tool? Dun, 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 because the music's not there, so I have to sing it. Dun, 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 dun. Anyway, if nobody's coming, oh, wait, because I gave you that.
Last bartender said it's a cedar.
Is it a cedar? No, I think I need to take it out to, I should have had something to show you exactly how you do it because it's outside in my herb garden. Is it for a pomegranate? No, that's a good one though. Big hint, big hint. In the meantime, we are going to start making some beets. And these are delicious beets. So, think about...
She was here though.
Stripping herbs. Yes, it's to strip herbs. So you take some rosemary or some thyme and you thread it through one of those holes and it takes off just the herbs. Lizzie got it. Yay. She was here and she knows and she probably see me use them. They're great to have If you just need a little bit at one time, you can also just put your finger on it and strip it off. The rosemary, the thyme, the oregano, the marjoram, all of those things that you're growing, that's what that is. Let's go on to the beets now. We do have another recipe. So today I am making, I was gifted some beets yesterday. I mean, who the heck, the herb garden thing, yes. Who the heck gets gifted beets? But I was. So I work at a farmer's market, and at the end of the market, the farmers, what happened? Oh no, what happened? You have one finger.
Oh, I thought you were talking about.
Oh, okay. At the end of the farmer's market, you are, the farmers go around and they'll say, can you use this to the other vendors because they know they're taking it home. Just random. Yesterday I was given some Swiss chard, which we'll have for a dinner yesterday. I may even use it in a broth, but I was also given lots and lots of sweet beets. So I came home and I roasted them. Easy peasy, that's what you do. What can you do with beets? Roast them, they're delicious. It brings out the sugar, it brings out the sweetness. You just put a little on a cooking sheet, you put some olive oil, salt and pepper, and then cook them for about maybe 50 minutes. I like to cover them so they don't splatter. Then I took those beets, and they were nice and soft and cooked, and I processed them in a food processor so that I got a very minced up looking roasted beets. Now I'm not sure that you can see the mince, but that's what I did. I wanted to do that whole process with you, but that was a little bit too much of a time. That's the thing about live streams. I can't do all that. Then I made a sort of a sweet syrup, sugar base. So there is in here, and I have this recipe up. We didn't put the dill pickle one up, we forgot, and we do have a new recipe card too. This is maple syrup and some brown sugar. I'm just going to double check. I've got it here and I want to double check, but I will put this recipe up for you. A cup of maple syrup, some ginger, that brings out the sweet. It really brings out the beet flavor. You don't taste the ginger. And about an 1/8 teaspoon of salt. To that, I am going to add a cinnamon stick, and I'm going to add in a few whole cloves. And then that's going to just cook, and that's going to blend all of those ingredients. Now, what I like to do, and it's not part of the usual recipe for this, but what I like to do is I like to add some lemon juice. I think lemon juice always neutralizes all the flavors together. So I think we're going to start off with half a lemon. So I'm putting 1/2 lemon. Oh, just got sprayed in the face. Now, what am I going to do with the rest of the lemon? I'm actually going to slice this lemon up this way. I don't know if you can see it because I've got so many things up here. I'm going to take off the top of it. I'm going to just take the rind off. Little bits left in it. This is not something I'm going to process in a canner. You could, but I'm not going to today. There's not much of it here. I'm going to put this in the fridge in a nice jar, and it's just going to be a condiment that we'll use throughout the next couple of weeks. It'll last 2 weeks in the fridge. Make sure you remove the seeds, and I'm putting these pieces of lemon directly in. Remember, there's ginger in here, so you're going to get a nice combination. It's just a different way to use the beets. These beets are from Merkaba Farms, and Merkaba Farms is a young-owned farm, and it's a sustainable farm that they are really in harmony with nature. They don't do anything that is non-organic. I love this farm because it's young people that are just really in tune to what they eat. I think it's a second generational farm. They're located here in Bobcaygeon.
Your can.
What?
Your can.
All right. I have put, that was about 10 beets.
That's what I think.
You should use the zest in your beets. I could use the zest. I have learned that if you are using the juice, use the zest. The only thing is, I was afraid of it being bitter. All right, so I'm going to stir together the beets and the maple syrup, brown sugar, salt, ginger. Now you'll see, it's called jam. It's called beet jam, but it's not a jam like that. It's a condiment.
Oh,
I almost
Flanders.
missed the beets. Flanders, wow. Little late, better late than never, I suppose. Yeah, you almost missed the beets. Roast the beets, eat them like that, or put them in some kind of sweet base and make yourself a nice side condiment, similar to how you would use cranberry sauce. Okay, so you can see what I have here. I've got lovely syrupy looking minced beets. This is going to make a great side dish. If you can think of what would, on chicken, on turkey, on pork would be good too. So I'm going to cook this slowly. Now, if anybody has been keeping time, I'm going to cook that slowly. My pickles would be ready to come out. So we're going to remove those and we will shut off the water bath canner using the lifter. I'm going to bring that over to this and show you. Now, that was simple enough.
Treats by Mom was here.
Who is?
Treats by Mom, Jane.
Oh, welcome. So we have a chef that's on the channel right now. Her name is Jane. She runs a vendor's booth at the Bobcaygeon Farmers Market. Bake extraordinaire. Did a lot of cooking in San Francisco. Did a lot of training on sourdough bread. It's second to none. If you find yourself in Bobcaygeon, the Bobcaygeon Farmers Market, check it out. So here we are with some dill pickles. Every canner is going to listen. It comes out of the hot water bath. You're going to listen to the ting. What is that ting? Remember, this was only a finger close. It wasn't tight close because I wanted that hot water process to remove the air and let it escape around the ring. You saw that when you placed it down, you saw the air starting to come out. That heat process forced all the air out. Now what I'm waiting for is the ting. As it cools, it's going to pull down that lid. Don't touch that lid. And when it tings and it's concave, you know that you've got a sealed jar of pickles. Notice how many I did. Notice how many I did. I did one jar. So today, if you're a single person or you're a person who doesn't like a lot of pickles, but you really want to try this out, I did one jar of pickles. You can do that. You can pick up a few cucumbers. Don't use the big ones with a lot of seeds. They just don't hold up as nice over the winter. Pick up some dill. You can use dill seed that you get in the grocery store. You don't need fresh dill. I sometimes use dill seed. But you say, but I don't have a water bath canner. Take a tall kettle, any kind of pot that you've got that's really tall. Put one of these rings in the bottom. You're manufacturing a water bath canner. Put that in the bottom, put your jar on top of it so it's not right on the base, and you've got a water bath canner. It's great. Easy, and you don't have to invest in the tools if you're not going to do it often. But, you know, once you start canning your own food, you're going to see it's not that hard to do, and it's really delicious in the middle of February. So we're going to put this aside. Maybe while you're here, you're going to hear the ting as well, and we know that we've got a process jar. Don't move it. I shouldn't be moving it at all. I'm going to clean up my mess, and we're going to go on to our final end of the stream. And we saw a snake. It was the biggest snake. I did forget to mention Matt's partner, Barry, that was in the water. I don't know how I missed that. But we did see a snake, and it was the largest snake in history. And we meant to put it in this video, and we forgot, but that was a lot of fun. Those haven't sealed yet. Allegedly, no, the snake was there. But we have found out that the snake has been killed. If that traumatizes anybody, so what? The snake was not that big. Oh my God, babies! The snake was huge, and I have found out that it was sliced in half. I didn't do it. I could have though. Rest in peace, snake. we are going to continue on next week, and so thankful for you to be here. Thank you for coming. Ken and pickle the snake. Ooh, brine or no brine? That would be the question. Yeah, I like this idea. We'll work on it. Next week, we're going to continue the preserving, and we are going to be continuing with a new thing. And I want you to look for this in your cupboard, maybe somebody else's cupboard. These are called a community cookbook, and I did talk to Stephen Bruiser about this at Playdate. The event I went to last Sunday, and they weren't even aware of what a community cookbook was. So listen what this is. It's a book that maybe a church or a foundation or a school or a group, a neighborhood, they put together all their favorite recipes. It's usually spiral bound, and no one's listening to me because they're like consumed by the snake and brine. I want you to find one of these community cookbooks. Sometimes you have one. Sometimes you can find them at thrift shops because people tire of them, or you can find them at the library. And they're a real genre of cookbooks that show an entire generation or an entire neighborhood or what was happening at that time. It's a history book. And if you find one, bring it to the stream. I'm going to start cooking out of those because you can find the most amazing things. I actually found one that was republished, Natch, but it's from all the 1800s recipes. If you have one of those, bring it. If you can find one online, just put it in your head. What is this genre of cookbook called community cookbooks? So remember, if you want to can, you don't need to make 100 jars. You can make 1 jar. You can make, yes, you're right, Erin. Sometimes the instructions are hilarious because it might be a group of grandmas who say, just add it until it looks good. And the rest of the instructions are very funny. And sometimes it's like a group of school kids. I have one actually, I'll show you next week, and it's them writing it, which is fun too. A Speakeasy Community Cookbook. Wow, that would be really good. So next week we'll be doing that. Bring them if you can. Bring your fun back with me. And remember, you don't have to do a lot of canning. If you do something, if you try to do something, and if it works out, send me a picture and we will put those up. You know, we always like to humiliate people. So let's talk about what's coming up this week. Monday, I'm about to sneeze. Excuse me. Wait. Monday, we have God Tier TV at Speakeasy. Now, Speakeasy is the other channel. If you're new to this channel and you think, okay, I'm just new to Twitch even, find Speakeasy TV. It's Sneeze Cam. It is our affiliate station, and most of the people on here go between the two stations, the two TV channels. So what I want you to do is go find Speakeasy and watch. Monday's God Tier. Tuesday at 9 o'clock is Russ Martin and Bombay from TV, all that. Not here today. The Gays Are Fighting. Hilarious show. Always a new theme, always a ridiculous, fun. Chances are of being banned on that show. Wednesday is at noonish. Matt is doing Drawing a Blank, and it's a fun chat. It's not just about drawing. It's a real chill. Alberta's there often, and we really enjoy just chatting about nonsense. Thursday, I don't think there's anything happening. Friday, this week, is Speakeasy Radio comes back with Allison, Lizzie, and Celebrity Juice Diet Chris. It's hilarious. Those three are so hilarious together. And then Saturday is Alberta Premium at noon with Dungeons & Dragons, a great show. And then Sunday, me again. Now, I am at noon. Bannable content. I am at noon now, and it seemed like it worked. I realized that a lot of the regular people who are on the channel are gigging right now. There's a lot of brunches going on. There's a lot of fun end of summer stuff, and I get that. But if you would have an issue and you'd like to say, listen, 11 o'clock works better for me, send me a message. We could change this. Our channel is the Speakeasy channel is on the edge, so they do get banned occasionally. I don't run the risk of getting banned unless it's from the chat. If the noon thing works for you, great, it works for us. If the 11 o'clock works for you, I would do that too. So until then, This kitchen is closed.